Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in about 45 seconds. Thanks for joining. All right, it is Tuesday, June 27th, 9 a.m. Eastern, doing a little public live stream here to show you what we do with the chart guys every single day as far as pre-market prep and then the coverage of the market open as we observe and watch for setups to present themselves and how our major sectors are interacting with each other. Right now on my screen is my Fidelity screen, which shows all these quote boxes, a bunch of the major sectors and major names, and the names that I'm interested in as far as pretty much what I'm watching on a daily basis. That said, I go through all of the major sectors first thing in the morning, so a few hours ago, writing up a few sentences on everything, and we will look at the setups on TradingView until the bell rings. So appreciate the likes and the shares and those of you tuning in here. So one thing I'm watching for in the short term, today and into tomorrow, is this potential for an S&P 500 4-hour falling wedge. This is the futures chart of the S&P 500, and we can see that it's been fairly contained consolidation. We've been pulling back now for a bit over a week, and I'm watching to see, does this break bull? And the reason I'm watching to see if this breaks bull is because we've seen, again, a straight pullback at this point, and we know that if the bears are going to prove significant follow-through to us on this current consolidation, we will have to confirm a daily downtrend. And as far as I'm concerned, we had a stair-step move up here, and now essentially a stair-step drop, and still technically speaking in a daily uptrend. So I'm watching for an eventual bounce here in the next couple of days, and then do we confirm that daily downtrend? That's going to give us a lot of information. If we don't, it's a weekly bull flag. Very simple. If we do, then we're going to be watching for a test of weekly EMA 12 support as my next target if the bears confirm a daily downtrend. So knowing that to confirm a downtrend, we have to see the daily bounce, I'm watching for that daily bounce to try and shape up in the short term. Again, doesn't have to be today, but it definitely can be today. So we're going to be watching for clues as to whether or not that is shaping up. One thing that would be notable to me, and I'm going to be watching SPY once the bell rings, if we were to break the low of yesterday on SPY, 431.19, and see no follow through, so if that level were to break and then we go straight into an hourly bounce, that for me would increase the probability that I'm on the right track of watching that 4-hour falling wedge on the futures chart. If we break 431.19 and see significant follow through and we get, a few dollars of downside, then that would tell me, nope, the bears are stronger than you thought and they still have complete control. So at this point in time, we have a little bounce resistance from the end of yesterday, and we can say that if 432.92 is resistance on SPY, the bears have full short-term control. Break that level, and we'll be watching for an hourly trend change to try and shape up. But for now, the hourly downtrend is our guide, as we had a decent consolidation day yesterday, led to the downside by the Nasdaq and some of our big tech names. So looking at the Nasdaq, we're just looking for a 4-hour lower high to be the result of this bounce on the futures chart. And oftentimes I'm flipping between the futures chart and the ETFs, and that's just because they have a little bit of a different look. I'll be watching the 4-hour on the futures chart and the hourly on the ETFs. But overall, once the bell rings, I'm generally sticking with those ETFs. So from QQQ's perspective, low of yesterday, 357.59 is going to be a key support first thing. Can the bears break that level and see follow through, or do the bears break the hourly resistance from yesterday afternoon, 359.95? Because again, if we break that resistance, that will start to create the space for an hourly trend change attempt to try and take place later in the day. So simple statement, we'll just call it 360. If 360 is resistance, the bears still have full control. If we break 360, we'll start to be creating some space for an eventual hourly trend change attempt. So I'm a little bit little bit on the bull side of things, keeping an eye out. And that's really just because of one specific play. I'm watching for an AI daily bounce. We'll look at that play in just a moment. But if the bears prove to me that they're keeping control with breaks of the lows of yesterday and follow through, then I will certainly shift my perspective a good bit. So looking at the dollar, daily inside bar bear break. So we know bigger picture, we're watching the dollar for a weekly equilibrium to try and eventually break. It will eventually break. And in my opinion, this is going to have significant implications for the second half of the year in the commodity space, and also with regards to crypto and stocks with the direction that it breaks. But we can easily tighten up through July. So I'm watching for a weekly higher low as the most likely scenario. And to set a weekly higher low, we have to confirm a daily uptrend. So the only way that will happen from here is if we hold 101.92 and break 103.17. That would confirm a daily uptrend and set a weekly higher low. If we can't, if we fail and head down to a lower low, then weekly consolidation continues. Still going to be watching for that eventual weekly higher low, but that will tell us not yet. With this weakness in the dollar the last couple of days, the metals are trying to get a bounce going. Gold is still really struggling and inverse to the dollar, but a bearish correlation. You can see that we're not even really getting a daily bounce going, and the dollar is clearly daily consolidating. So gold is tightening up, and we're anticipating volatility is going to pick up on gold the second half of this week, just because it's just been essentially 3-4 days of tightening range. And the burden is on the bulls, because even if this does break bull, anything under 1968 is just a daily lower high. So the bulls have a lot of proving to do in the metals and the miners, and there's still relative weakness in gold. You can see silver, the bounce is much more clear. It is directly inverse to the dollar. The dollar is pulling back for a couple days. Silver is bouncing for a couple of days. So silver clearly stronger than gold on this bounce attempt. Same thing though, anything under 24.21 is just a lower high on the daily. And bulls are trying to retrace 50% plus, because we know if bulls bounce 50% plus, they then create the space for the eventual daily trend change attempt. So solid bounce in silver, weak bounce in gold, and the miners are going to test the double top from Friday and Monday first thing. GDX 3034 and 3030, little double top resistance. If we were to fail 3030 and break 3003, that's a red flag for bulls. That's essentially a failure at that resistance. If we hold that level and break that double top, then that tells us the bounce on the daily is convincingly underway. Keeping in mind anything under 3174, just a daily lower high. So I personally don't actively trade the metals, and I will have to see, I don't care about daily bounces if the daily downtrend is going to remain intact. I will have to see signs that a daily trend change is shaping up if I'm going to have any interest in looking to play these names, because generally the metals are much less volatile than the instruments that I'm used to trading, like crypto stocks and AI stocks, and sometimes the biotech sector. And I pretty much just seek out volatility on highly liquid names for day trading, and the metals generally don't have that. So when I'm interested in the metals, it's for swing trades, and that means I need the daily time frame to get me interested. And right now, that's not shaping up. It would take a while to develop. Checking in on oil. So oil is still weak overall. The daily time frame doesn't have a ton of clarity for me, so I'm sticking to the weekly, where if weekly EMA 12 is resistance, the bears have full control. And we're tightening up. If we look at the 2-day time frame, we can see a high, low, lower high, and trying to form a higher low for continued tightening range. Inventory report will be tomorrow, but overall bears keeping control on oil, and just a question of, do we roll over and test recent lows? Natural gas bulls have been in control over the last couple of weeks, and 4-hour bull flag is struggling at the moment. So for short term, we're watching key support of 272, and this is the natural gas current futures contract. So here is the zone that we care about, and if we break support, daily consolidation will be underway, and if we break resistance, the 4-hour bull flag will confirm. So it is still possibly a 4-hour bull flag, but the big upper wick on the current candle is showing a failure to break resistance. So if that breaks bear, we zoom out, we scout a daily higher low, watching EMA 12 as a bit of a guide. And if it breaks bull, the bulls will keep their control. Big picture, natural gas is trying to put in a long-term bottom for a 4-month higher low. If they are successful, we'll look for a 4-month tightening range for a long time, but they have a lot of work to do. Need to get over 5-month highs by breaking the high of March if that 4-month higher low is going to continue shaping up. And Bitcoin daily bull flag is on the table. We now have a key short-term support. Our daily higher low is set at 29.9 thousand. If that level breaks, probability of a bull flag will decrease a good bit. If that level holds, it's a bull flag. Just make a simple statement. If 29.9 is support, it's a bull flag. The burden is on bears to prove to us that it is not, if they're going to prove anything. But we know we need a 4-hour uptrend. This move is coming straight off the low. So bulls will have to confirm a 4-hour uptrend to have confidence that that daily bull flag can confirm. And I'm keeping an eye on Bitcoin because the crypto stocks have had great volatility over the last couple of weeks. And so I'm watching to see, is Bitcoin going to shape up for 4-hour consolidation? Because if that is the case, then we're likely going to see continued constricting ranges in these crypto stocks. I'm favoring MARA as a bull and Riot as a bear, depending on the setup. So if I see Bitcoin is shaping up 4-hour consolidation, I'll look short on Riot. And if I see Bitcoin is set up for a breakout, I'm looking long on MARA. And it does change on any given day as to who's stronger and who's weaker, but generally speaking, that has been the relationship. But here's a good example of MARA, so tightening range forever. We knew to be watching for the break of this range for volatility to pick up, and it certainly did. And now we went from volatility back into a constricting range now. So the constricting range is, struggling at 13, holding 11, 14. It's still a very wide range, but again, watching to see if we're just going to continue tightening up a bit. So MARA, anything under 1305 is just an hourly lower high on any morning strength. And if Bitcoin were to see 4-hour consolidation, I would anticipate that MARA is likely to remain within this sideways daily range and continue tightening up at least a bit further. So if I am looking bearish, if I am looking for an hourly lower high, I'm keeping an eye on Riot. And I would be viewing Riot anything under 12.18. And you can see Riot has been struggling at 12. So we broke 12.06 straight into a big pullback. And then we broke that resistance by a few pennies straight into a solid pullback. And then we broke it again by a few pennies into a very large pullback yesterday. So clearly struggling at 12 psychological. Came down to the low of the range. But again, we're so far away from that high of yesterday. We're 9% away with where we stand pre-market. And as far as where do we stand compared to the low of yesterday, we're about 4% away. MARA compared to the low of yesterday is about, 6% away. So again, we can just see Riot is a little bit weaker. Its bounce retracement is less significant, and it's closer to its low of yesterday. So if the Bitcoin bears show us anything, the ideal scenario for these crypto stocks is when QQQ and Bitcoin are going in the same direction. And so if they're going in opposite directions, things are going to be a little bit more choppy. But keeping an eye out, because if Bitcoin were to see consolidation and if the Nasdaq bears were to show up first thing and break the low of yesterday and keep their control, then hourly lower highs certainly going to be likely on these names, and watching for the possibility that Riot sees continued weakness. Coin, another crypto name, had a big bull move yesterday, but right off of resistance, we were extremely extended on short-term time frames into that resistance, and we rejected convincingly. And so a bear is going to hope that we fail 66.16 on the morning and break 61.60 to continue following through from that rejection. But again, have to see weakness in Bitcoin to have any confidence in these crypto stocks. Bearish, because if Bitcoin just gives us an hourly higher low into continuation, then I'm going to be looking bullish on MARA. So essentially, if weakness in Bitcoin, I'm looking bearish in Riot. If strength in Bitcoin, I'm looking bullish on MARA. And those are names that I just keep an eye on as far as potential opportunity. And even if I'm not going to take a setup in the first 15, 20 minutes of trading, oftentimes we'll see a nice tightening 15-minute range through the first hour and a half of the day. And then that will eventually give trading opportunity late morning or early afternoon. It's just something that I know, keep an eye on, because if I don't have any trade setups, those are names that I check for to see if anything is standing out to me. So other sector that I've been trading very actively recently is the AI space. So we're going to look at some AI names, then we'll check in on the big players like Tesla, NVDA, and big tech. Got about 15 minutes here until the open. So I am interested in AI for a daily bounce. And the reason I'm interested in AI for a daily bounce is the straight drop down that we've seen, which isn't surprising. You know, we knew weekly consolidation would be inevitable after going up hundreds of %. And so now that weekly consolidation is underway, but it's been a nice straight drop of 35% plus. So I'm looking for, again, the same thing as SPY and QQQ, where if the bears are going to affirm to us that they are taking complete control, they need to confirm a daily downtrend. And to confirm a daily downtrend, a daily bounce is a part of that. So I'm watching for that daily bounce. I talked about in the broader market video yesterday, my ideal scenario would have been a gap down open this morning, and that is not shaping up. So it's not my ideal setup, but I'm watching. There's two ways to approach this. Do you want to be aggressive or conservative? An aggressive bull is looking for a play off of the low of yesterday, 31.69. And if that level can hold, we look for an hourly bounce to then be underway. A patient bull is saying, we need an hourly uptrend. We've had a clear hourly downtrend this entire pullback. I need a big enough bounce where I can say, all right, bulls, I see you, and I'm going to look for an entry on the hourly high or low from there. And then if we confirm an hourly uptrend, the daily bounce will be underway. Because anything under 35.48 is just an hourly low or high. So the bell could ring, we could go up 6%, and still be in an hourly downtrend. So it determines, how you are playing AI, if you're looking for a bounce, is determined by whether you want to be aggressive or conservative. I'm going to be probably on the conservative side. But again, this is where watching what the broader market doing is so important, because if the S&P 500 is a 4-hour falling wedge, then AI is going to see a daily bounce. So keeping an eye on both of those things. And if SPY and QQQ break their low of yesterday, then that's going to have me be a little bit patient on AI. But key support test, the low of yesterday in play first thing. If 31.69 breaks, we have a base of support at 30, which held the last period of consolidation, and it was significant consolidation, but we built a base of support and then saw continuation. And so that level's coming back into play. And then, of course, bigger picture, is that going to be shaping up a head and shoulders? Maybe. We'll talk about that later on down the line once we get a daily bounce. But for now, keeping an eye out for the daily bounce. PLTR is the other name that I trade in AI. It already has its daily bounce underway, started it yesterday, but no follow through. Have to break 1442. We have a little double top. 1444 was the high of Thursday. 1442, the high of yesterday. We would have to break that level for the daily bounce to get any follow through. PLTR is essentially a little bit more of a tame version of AI. And depending on how much volatility you want, PLTR has a bit less, AI has more. So there's a number of ways that we control volatility as traders. We either size down our position if things are extremely volatile and we don't want as much risk reward exposure, or we can choose the less volatile name. Again, it all depends on the individual trader. Do you want maximum risk reward with the most volatility, or a bit less? But I will be watching AI closely on the morning. Other than that, SOUN has been a low cap name. Shout out to John's Charts, who's been all over this one in the Chart Guys chat room, swinging this one for the past couple of weeks. So another big move yesterday as it got added to the Russell 2000. But a good bit of profit taking as well. If we break 4 psychological, that's going to show me that bulls are losing a good bit of their momentum. At that point, we'll be 15% off the high of yesterday. If we hold $4, that's a potential level for aggressive bulls to be looking at. We would need to hold 4 and break 428 for the bulls to tell us that they are still keeping control on the hourly time frame. Got to be cautious with position size here. It's very thinly traded. And there is a lot more slippage on this name on, say, you can market buy $50,000 on AI and it's not going to make a dent, but 50,000 on SOUN has a much more significant impact. So again, another example of where we as traders can influence our risk and reward, and we need to be aware of these things as we determine our position size based on the instruments that we are trading. I will take on much larger positions in something like Tesla or NVDA than I will on something like SOUN, just because of liquidity. So that's the AI sector. We know NVDA is related to AI. So NVDA had a great bear play yesterday. That break of 420 was a support level that everybody was watching. As Lori says, you could see it from space. Everybody was looking at that. And you can see we just fell through in a very big way. So what I'm watching is our short-term resistance. Just like SPY and QQQ, there's a lot of individual names that have this resistance level in play first thing from the end of yesterday bounce. If we do not get over 411.40 after the bell rings, the bears remain very strong. That keeps an hourly bear flag in play. If we get over 411.40, the hourly bear flag decreases in terms of probability. Again, same thing. A real aggressive trader is going to either look to short off that resistance or try and long off the low of yesterday. A patient trader is going to say, all right, we're technically still in a daily uptrend on NVDA. Anything above 373 is a daily higher low. So some bulls are watching for daily higher lows to be set here. And a patient bull is going to wait for a big enough hourly bounce and then say, all right, that's got the space for an hourly higher low to be the result of next consolidation, knowing we must confirm an hourly trend change for any indication that a daily higher low is going to be shaping up. So if I'm looking to be a little bit more patient, that's a setup that I know, I don't need to act on that first thing this morning. If the bulls get over that resistance and see a 50% retracement of yesterday's drop, then I can say, all right, I am interested in the next hourly consolidation. We then use the 5-minute time frame to try and pinpoint the hourly higher low being established, knowing the burden is on bulls to confirm that hourly uptrend. If we fail to get over 411.40, an hourly bear flag remains on the table, and we'll be looking down at 401 support. Tesla is similar in the sense that the bears had a nice move yesterday on the 4-hour head and shoulders confirming. Little resistance level, 247.20 is our guide, and that's essentially a back test of our neckline support. We had neckline support at 247.29, and here's the head and shoulders. So 247.29, 248.25, that's a resistance zone now, and we rejected from it on the back test of the bounce yesterday, and so that's a key level of resistance to be watching this morning. If we fail to get over that level, and it's a zone, it's not just a single level, I would say, up to 248. If we fail to get over that, then the bears are keeping their control. If we do get over that, at that point in time, we're then almost 4% off the low of yesterday, and we're creating the space for an eventual hourly trend change attempt. So essentially what NVDA and Tesla are watching for first thing this morning is, can the bulls break short-term resistance from yesterday afternoon to then increase probabilities of an hourly trend change attempt shaping up? If we can't clear resistance, then we're not going to have space for an hourly trend change. If we do clear it, then we will have space. So those are key resistance levels to be watching first thing. Again, aggressive bears are going to be looking to play off of those resistance levels, and patient bulls are going to be watching to see if they break, and if they do, then the bulls will get interested scouting the hourly higher lows. So now on to big tech. Simple statement. The Nasdaq bears, and QQQ did just lose daily EMA 12 for the first time in a couple of months. But the Nasdaq bears are not going to follow through from here unless our lead Nasdaq names lose their daily EMA 12. And those lead names are Apple. Keeping an eye out for a rising wedge on Apple, but Apple's been holding daily EMA 12 for over a month. Meta has been holding daily EMA 12 for a couple of months, and Amazon has been holding daily EMA 12 for a couple of months. So these levels are now in play. And if you are a bear, you want to see the lead bulls start to roll over and join Team Bear. Because if they don't, again, the Nasdaq is not going anywhere. So looking at these lead QQQ bulls, Amazon, same thing as far as the short-term resistance level being tested first thing. If the bulls get over 128.66, we'll then be pushing 50% retracement from the drop yesterday, and that will then give the bulls some cushion to work with above that low of yesterday's support. So key little resistance test first thing. And if the bears are going to prove something to me on Amazon, I need to see a loss of daily EMA 12 and a break of the last little base of support right around 124. If the Apple bears are going to prove anything to me, I need to see a failure to break 186.41 resistance from yesterday and a new break of that low. So this is the potential rising wedge that I'm watching on the 4-hour time frame for Apple, keeping in mind it's possible that we just fall right through it if the bears control today, but it's also possible we bounce off of it again. And then this could align. This is how, my brain works as far as looking at the broader market as well. So I know I'm watching QQQ for a daily bounce, and the bears will have to confirm a daily downtrend to prove follow through on weekly consolidation. Well, maybe Apple bounces off this uptrend support line, QQQ gets a daily bounce going, and Apple breaking bearish sets that QQQ daily lower high and has the bears then try and confirm the daily downtrend. This isn't a high conviction pattern for me, but it's standing out to me as definitely a possible pattern. And so I'm keeping an eye on it for the implications. I haven't traded Apple in a very long time, but I'm keeping an eye on Apple for the implications that it will have on the Nasdaq as a whole, knowing how much weight Apple has in all of these major ETFs. Meta tested daily EMA 12 support yesterday. Watching the bounce retracement size here, if the bulls are able to see 50% bounce retracement, they will be creating space for an hourly trend change attempt. And this is a scenario where you look at Meta, big drop yesterday, absolutely. We lost the hourly uptrend, but the bears have not confirmed an hourly downtrend yet. And they will have to do that if we're going to follow through. So we will have to break the low of yesterday for the bears to prove a downtrend on the shorter term time frames. Otherwise, the bulls are going to keep controlling the daily chart. So I'm watching those three names, and if they show me weakness today or lead the way to the downside, that's going to be another point in favor of the Nasdaq bears. Some of the other Nasdaq names that have been leading the way to the downside, we've been scouting Google as a lead bear for a long time because Google traded sideways for weeks while the Nasdaq kept ripping higher. And that just shows us relative weakness. And you can also look at relative weakness looking at the ratio charts. Google divided by QQQ has been showing us relative weakness for weeks. There's multiple ways to visualize it. And so once the Nasdaq started to finally pull back, Google bears are just ready and waiting for it. It ended up being a little head and shoulders. And now we have a gap down open shaping up as it continues to be a lead bear. Hourly downtrend is our guide. Weekly EMA 12 support is now coming into play, potentially starting to test it today. But weeks of consolidation, while the Nasdaq started weekly consolidation yesterday. So Google continues to be a lead bear to the downside. Microsoft is on the verge of confirming a daily head and shoulders. No, I take that back. We already did. So you can confirm this, or you could consider this a quick little lower high and lower low. 322.50 is the next support. And weekly consolidation underway in Microsoft. So it's a bit weaker. Pretty much the names that have lost daily EMA 12 versus the names that are holding them out of the major QQQ holdings. Netflix lost daily EMA 12 as well. It's a good bit off of its recent high. So I'm just separating these names, major names in the NASDAQ. I've got Amazon, Apple, and Meta on the stronger side. I've got Google, Microsoft, and Netflix on the weaker side. And I watch to see, do the weaker names start to strengthen or do the stronger names start to weaken? And today's going to be a pretty telling day as Apple, Amazon, and Meta all have that daily EMA 12 now in play. And if they all have red days, that will be showing us that they are starting to weaken. All right, a couple minutes till the open here. One other setup I'm keeping an eye on is ARKK, but bigger picture, I'm in no rush to be looking long. I'm watching to see, can the bulls hold weekly EMA 12 to try and shape up a bull flag after the double top rejection at resistance? And so again, people ask me, I keep getting the question, how do you keep track of so many things? We just went through a whole lot in the last 28 minutes. And the answer is, I've been reading a piece of paper that has my handwritten tickers down on it the entire time. I'm not remembering this stuff. We don't even remember our grocery lists. We write them down. So the majority of people that ask me, how do I remember all this stuff, later then admit, no, I don't use a pen and paper next to my computer. And I just don't understand it. I can write down ARKK weekly, and it reminds me, later tomorrow at 1 p.m., I'll look at my list and say, oh yeah, let me check in on ARKK. I haven't looked at it once today. I don't need to look at it all day, every day, because it's a weekly setup that I'm interested in, and it takes a while to establish itself. But I know somewhere down the line, whether it's later this week or early next week, whenever it is, I'm going to be watching for a weekly high or low ARKK potential bullish entry. And so again, as soon as I write something down, my mental capacity is then relieved a little bit. I have a thing where I call, I say my brain is now in list mode because I'm just trying to remember something and I keep thinking about it over and over. And as soon as I write it down, my brain then says, okay, you don't have to keep remembering it anymore. It's on the paper, and you can then free up that mental capital for other things. All right, here comes the open. So if QQQ and SPY hold the low of yesterday, that will increase the probabilities that the S&P 500 is a 4-hour falling wedge significantly. So watching that, first thing. And again, watching AI to try and hold the low of yesterday first thing. Aggressive bulls are going to be making a play off of that level. Some of these Chinese names are testing their high of yesterday first thing. They have a little bit of relative strength. Baba, Baidu, NIO. QQQ has a nice little tightening 5-minute range from pre-market. And again, one of the other major things that I'm watching first thing is, are all of our sectors dropping at the same time? Are we seeing inverse relationships between our major sectors? Google easily a lead bear. Look at it standing out down over 1% while every other QQQ name is green on my screen at the moment. So if QQQ breaks this tightening little 5-minute range bullish and breaks the high of pre-market, that'll be a solid start for the bulls. I can see XLV is flat. It's the weaker sector. Just like yesterday morning, QQQ started strong and XLV started weak, and they had a very clear inverse relationship to each other. So I'm watching to see if that continues to be the case. QQQ is testing the high of pre-market right now, 359.66. And again, I'm in no rush to establish a morning position just yet, watching to see how things shake out a little bit. NVDA, that level from the bounce high yesterday afternoon, 411.40, still in play. And Tesla still a bit under its previous support, now resistance, 247, 248. So right now I got QQQ trying to be the leader of Team Bull. I've got XLV trying to be the leader of Team Bear. And I've got XLF not picking a side. Those are the three major sectors that I'm watching. And over the next 10 minutes, we're going to get a good bit more information from those sectors. PLTR trying to make its way back towards the high of yesterday, 1442, 1444 double top. If PLTR were to break that resistance, even though AI is weaker on the morning, that would be significant. Amazon standing out as a lead bull on the morning out of the QQQ related names. It broke its bounce high from yesterday afternoon. So bulls trying to make their way back into the middle of yesterday's range. QQQ failing the high of pre-market, pretty much a double top there. So we broke resistance by 2 pennies, but we're calling that a double top at the moment. Google's still leading the way down. And now Tesla is quickly approaching its low of yesterday. So if QQQ stays weak, Tesla likely to break that low. 240.70, and if that level breaks on Tesla, there's a gap to fill at 235.23. Look at XLV. High of the day test as QQQ dropped to the low of the day. Very clearly, QQQ and XLV are inverse to each other at the moment, just like yesterday. We'll see how long that keeps up. QQQ just bounced off the low of pre-market. We're pretty much just range bound between the pre-market range at the moment. AI is approaching the low of yesterday, just held it by 19 pennies, but again, I'm not looking to be aggressive on AI. I want the bulls to give me some kind of confidence that an hourly trend change is shaping up if I'm going to have interest there. NVDA broke the bounce high from yesterday by 20 cents. Trying to show some relative strength. The fact that NVDA is up testing the high of the day while QQQ just had that little drop shows that NVDA is showing a little bit of relative strength here. Meta bulls strong. Meta is having a strong response to that daily EMA 12 test yesterday. Right in the middle of the large range from yesterday. So at the moment, Apple, Amazon, and Meta, our lead bulls on Team QQQ, are not showing us weakness. They're still holding their daily EMA 12s. Look at that. QQQ right back to the high of the day. XLV right back to the low. That inverse relationship was all between QQQ and XLF for weeks, if not months. And the last 2 days it has shifted. Bull break on QQQ, new high of the day. Bull break over the high of pre-market. If AI hits a new high of the day over 32.85, that will be increasing conviction with the hold of the low of yesterday by 19 pennies. So NVDA, the more we go up from here, the higher the probability of a daily inside bar. We've got to remember that that daily range on NVDA was very large yesterday. And you can see that we are nestled within that inside bar, so potential for a tightening range. We're approaching 50% retracement. Still going to watch for an hourly lower high compared to 427, but the bulls are trying to create the space so that when we top out, we'll try and form an hourly higher low compared to 401. But we could see that a little bit of relative strength in NVDA as QQQ was chopping around there first thing. Crypto stocks, trying to buy the dip here, MARA. Still well under the high of yesterday, but a lead bull compared to Riot, so still stronger there. As Bitcoin watching the hourly. Key question for Bitcoin on the morning will be, is this an hourly bull flag, or are we shaping up for 4-hour consolidation? Because again, if we're shaping up for 4-hour consolidation, we're going to be watching for hourly lower highs on Riot, which is much weaker than MARA initially. So if the QQQ bulls are going to prove that they can keep control here, we're going to have to see a 5-minute uptrend confirm. QQQ broke the bounce high from yesterday, still well under the high of yesterday. And through the morning, one thing that I'm also looking for is, what's the probability that daily inside bars are forming today? Because at this moment, SPY, QQQ, Tesla, NVDA, they're all inside bars. And I know that if inside bars are forming, my day trading opportunity is going to be more limited. And that tells me to pump the brakes a bit more. And usually after the first hour of trading, when things are most volatile, we can then get a pretty good probability as to whether an inside bar is forming or not. I want to be trading more on expanding ranges and less on constricting ranges. NIO bulls, nice start to the morning. So again, these Chinese names showing us relative strength overnight with their little gap up. Daily bounce underway for NIO. Daily bounce following through for BABA. Still lots of space for the lower high. But YINN, ETF, gap up open. What I care about on the Chinese names is big picture. Are we shaping up a weekly trend change for monthly higher lows to convincingly be set? And I know that that's going to take weeks to play out. But it's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. So Riot at the moment has a double top at the high of the day at 1113. XLF is up at the high of the day. We're not that far away from all major sectors being at the highs together, which would be a bullish indication. So keep an eye out for that, but QQQ did pull back a bit from that top. Google still clearly weaker. Meta has pulled back significantly as well. New low of the day on Meta. So potentially setting a quick lower high as far as watching the high of yesterday resistance. Let's see if, checking on our lead bulls. Amazon, if we see a new low of the day here, definitely going to be notable. Apple's going the opposite direction, so Apple's still a lead bull, but 2 out of the 3 are starting to show some cracks in their armor. Let's see if Amazon and Meta give back that initial morning strength. Bit of a tug of war. If Apple's going up and Amazon's going down, then it's going to be a tug of war as far as QQQ is concerned. It's always easiest as far as the amount of follow through and conviction when we're going in the same direction. When all major sectors are going in the same direction, we get big follow through. When all major individual names in a sector are going in the same direction, we get follow through. When they're not, when they're going in opposite directions, things are a bit more choppy. So QQQ 5-minute consolidation underway. Bulls must hold the low of the day to try and form a 5-minute higher low, but we've already retraced a significant amount of that morning move. And Meta and Amazon are weakening. AI back to the low of the day. If QQQ sets a 5-minute higher low here, we have the potential to see a tightening 5-minute range on the morning. So Meta and Amazon bears will want to confirm 5-minute downtrends to affirm that they're gaining some control. But again, it's definitely a bit of tug of war with Apple still very strong up near its high of the day, while Meta and Amazon just dropped to their low of the day. So potential for a tightening 5-minute range. Still real patient for me personally. I'm in no rush to jump into anything, wait for the morning to develop. I still don't know what direction I want to be looking today. SPY and QQQ clearly holding the lows of yesterday, but also not doing a whole lot to convince us the bulls are about to take over. I'm going to take ticker requests from ChartGuys members here in about 7 minutes as the morning continues to play out. So this is what I'm talking about with choppy action. You can see QQQ, big move up, big pullback, now a bounce. It's because Apple's testing the high of the day. The wide range then constricting into what we call equilibriums often shows that tug of war action. You can zoom into the 2-minute time frame on QQQ. If we fail the high of the day, it'll be a 2-minute lower high, and we'll have a 2-minute tightening range that we'll be watching for a break of. Going to consider AI a double bottom at the low of the day. We broke support by a couple pennies, but still holding that low of yesterday. Bitcoin is continuing to pull back. 5-minute downtrend guide on Bitcoin as I'm keeping an eye on MARA and Riot. Riot bears position pretty well if the Nasdaq rolls over into weakness. And Tesla's still on the weaker side as well. Tesla's low of the day is within striking, or low of yesterday is within striking distance still. So if the Nasdaq rolls over, Tesla and Riot are two names I'll be keeping an eye on. SOUN, that small cap AI name, broke $4. So bulls are losing their short-term momentum. 372 is now support, and at this point, bulls are just hoping for a daily inside bar. Check it back in on the QQQ 2-minute. So again, a nice tightening range. When the morning starts, I generally start on short-term time frames, and then I'll zoom out. Once this 2-minute pattern breaks, I'll go to the 5-minute, and then eventually later in the morning, I go to the 15-minute. But we got to know what direction to be looking on our major indices, because I don't want to be looking bearish Riot if QQQ is going to break the high of the day. It's the bigger picture indices direction that determines the individual names that I'm interested in. Apple's still at the highs. We also have to keep in mind if QQQ breaks the 2-minute tightening range bullish, it's still possible to set a 5-minute lower high and then go into a tightening 5-minute range. NIO bulls following through. Five-minute stair step on the morning. Second weekly inside bar in a row. So far this morning, lead bulls are definitely some of these Chinese names. Posting the ticker request thread in the chat room for Chart Guys members. So if QQQ breaks bear, I'm watching Riot and Tesla potentially. And if it breaks bull, I'm watching AI. And that should definitely help these Chinese names continue to keep their strength. But we're still tightening up for now. XLV still a lead bear at its low of the day. Let's see if XLV is shaping up an hourly equilibrium after the very wide range yesterday. Yeah. So big dump, big bounce. Anything over 129.98 will be a higher low. So potential hourly equilibrium watch on XLV, but the burden is now on the bulls to prove to us an hourly higher low is forming versus the low of yesterday. Keep an eye on the healthcare weekly equilibrium through July. QQQ is still just tightening up here on the 2-minute. Low, high, higher low, lower high, held support. AI is trying to approach the high of the day after the double bottom at the low of the day. Break of the high of the day would give some confidence to bulls that we can hold that low of yesterday. but they definitely want to see QQQ break this tightening range bullish as well. All right, some ticker requests. Microsoft. So Microsoft 2-minute EMA 12 is support. Little 5-minute higher low, 332.05. So bulls keep control of the morning as long as the 5-minute higher lows remain. If we lose it, it's an hourly top of the bounce being set. And again, a daily inside bar at the moment. So we'll see if bulls are able to keep the 5-minute uptrend and head towards that high of yesterday. Or do we lose the 5-minute uptrend and then form a tightening hourly range? That's the question that we have for the rest of the morning. But fairly solid start with that 5-minute higher low. Again, it is standing out as one of the stronger QQQ names this morning in terms of percentage that we are green. AI is trying to build a little relative strength here, regardless of QQQ. And here's that high of the day test on AI and a bull break. So good sign for AI there, increasing probabilities that we can hold the low of yesterday. We will need to confirm a 5-minute uptrend from here. And then we'll have to confirm an hourly uptrend, so it's a long road ahead. But it's a solid start. And again, bulls want to see QQQ join. QQQ just broke its tightening 2-minute range bullish, but now we zoom out to the 5-minute. If we fail the high of the day, it's a 5-minute tightening range. So this is a pretty important test here for QQQ. Can we confirm the 5-minute uptrend into a new high of the day, or do we keep tightening for the next 20 plus minutes? If I'm an AI bull, I want to see PLTR break its high of the day as well. Just because they're sector peers, we want to see everything in the sector strong together. Get back to ticker requests here in just a moment. Just want to see if QQQ is able to break this high of the day or not. Riot broke the high of the day. Tesla's up at the high of the day. So a new high of the day on QQQ would increase the probability that bulls are going to be able to hold that low of yesterday. Still entirely possible that daily inside bars form. But that would definitely be a short-term win for the bulls. And that would make me less interested in bear plays. Aggressive AI bulls are definitely looking for positions, if not already in. But again, I'm going to be a little bit more patient, watching the hourly trend as my guide with more of a swing trade mindset. Microsoft testing the high of the day, trying to confirm the 5-minute uptrend as well. Big upper wick on AI. Again, have to confirm a 5-minute uptrend there if we're going to have any confidence in follow through. QQQ rejecting from the high of the day initially. So potential shaping up for now a QQQ 5-minute equilibrium. We went from a 2-minute equilibrium into a bull break. And now potentially a 5-minute tightening range after the failure to break the high of the day there. All right, more tickers. Snap. V-shaped bounce, similar to AI. Again, we need the 5-minute uptrend to have confidence in follow-through as a result of that V-shaped recovery. Daily chart, testing the high of yesterday, double top by a penny at the moment. Overall staying strong, but obviously bulls want to break that 1140 level for continuation after 1140, and you can see why we're struggling there. Here's that level from back in April. 1147 is right behind it. So bulls really want to clear both of those levels to get to essentially 3-month highs. SOFI daily inside bar at the moment. Resistance is 877, a little daily lower high set on the way down. So just watching for a potential tightening range within yesterday's range. Big 5-minute pullback. Bulls need to hold the low of the day. If they do, we're going to look for a 5-minute lower high and tightening range. But obviously a bit of a red flag to give back that much of the morning move. Potential that we're shaping up. A lower high and inability to break the high of yesterday. 814 is key support. CVS. All bears on the morning. Big drop with a gap down open. And support is just the low of every day here. If anything is going to change, we have a double bottom in the 66s. If anything is going to change, we have to hold 66, 64 and break 70, 62 to confirm a daily uptrend. Anything less than that, and the bears keep control on the daily chart. So we knew a daily lower high was the most likely result of this bounce. It's now set. Got a lot of space for an hourly lower high to be the result of the next bounce. Bulls have to shape up an hourly trend change in their favor if we're going to shape up a daily higher low. So they've got a lot of work to do. JD daily bounce is underway. Lots of space for a daily lower high to be the result of that bounce. Anything under 40.68. And the hourly uptrend will be our guide as we scout that daily lower high. So last little higher low is now 34.92. Short term, we're chopping around and range bound on the morning so far. And I'd say if we get a new high of the day, then we can call the low of today our new hourly higher low. But again, similar to these Chinese names, we're watching hourly uptrends. And when we lose hourly uptrends, that's the first indication of daily lower highs being set. KRE regional banks. So trying to shape up an hourly uptrend, which we have not done yet. We had a bounce day yesterday, but still no hourly uptrend. So we've got to hold 39.39 and break 40.77 for the hourly uptrend to confirm. So those are the only two levels that I care about, and we know the burden is on bulls after being very weak. One of our lead consolidating sectors last week. Have to shape up that hourly trend change and break the high of yesterday for any confidence that momentum is shifting in the short term. And to set an hourly higher low, we need a 5-minute uptrend. ENVX. Solid bull move to start the day. We will need to confirm the hourly uptrend eventually. Got to be news behind it, I assume, with the amount of volume we're seeing on the morning. but we're coming straight off the low of yesterday, so we have tons of space for the hourly higher low. Just need to ensure that next hourly consolidation results in a higher low and higher high if the bulls are going to head back to the 1563 recent top. That's a good save, whatever that turnaround is due to. U.S. Army order, because we had just broken some daily support. We had just lost the uptrend, and this is trapping some bears a bit. I would have started to have been gaining confidence as a bear over the last couple of days, and then that quick news turnaround. So 5-minute uptrend guide. When we lose it, we'll zoom out and scout an hourly higher low. DIS tightening hourly range. We know on the daily chart the bulls have tons of proving to do. They're just trying to hold the 87.01 low at this point. Anything under 94.52 will be a daily lower high. And we have not confirmed a clear hourly uptrend yet. So bulls need to get back over 89.49 to do so. But entirely possible we just see a tightening hourly range today, and we look for a break of that range tomorrow, because yesterday was such a wide range. IWM, hourly equilibrium yesterday is still intact. Well, we broke the support by a couple pennies, 12 cents. But it's a daily inside bar. So fairly clear sideways range the last 3 days, and still right in the middle of yesterday's range. So not getting any kind of clarity here. We know the burden's on bulls to shift the momentum in the short term after consolidation all last week. And the first indication that they are doing so, they got to break 182.16. Anything under 182.16 is just another hourly lower high. What in the world is that wick on QQQ? Let's check if that's real. Big spike up there, looking at the Nasdaq futures. So it looks like some stops just triggered, but no follow through. When we get a bull break with no follow through, we then start to keep an eye out for a potential rising wedge. So let's see if this Nasdaq is now shaping up a rising wedge. I'm on the futures chart right now just to see if that wick was real or not. And I don't like that wick, so I'm going to stick with the futures chart. And let's see if the bears are able to shift momentum after that bull break zero follow through. An odd wick. Doesn't look nearly as odd on the futures chart. So if this 1 minute rising wedge breaks bear, we're going to zoom out, and then we'll watch for a 15-minute higher low to try and form compared to the low of the day. You can see the bulls are attempting to defend short-term support. 359.79 just held. That level would have to break for 15-minute consolidation to be underway. Meta significant bounce recovery, so we saw, and it's just very choppy action. Bull start, big drop to a new low, V-shaped bounce to a new high. The bottom line on the daily chart is the bears are not proving a thing. And now the question is it a daily inside bar, or can the bulls keep control to head back towards the high of yesterday? Still don't have a clear trend. You know, we need the higher low and higher high on the 5-minute, but a clear recovery from that initial morning weakness. We'll see if we end up getting some kind of megaphone pattern. Whenever you see a bull break into a bear break into a bull break, I always start keeping an eye out for megaphones, but at this point in time, don't have high conviction because we don't have 3 points to be drawing off of. If we start 5-minute consolidation from here, it will be shaping up as a megaphone type of pattern. But again, looking at the daily charts, going down those names that we highlighted as our lead QQQ bulls, saying the bears got to prove it to us. Meta, bears are not proving it. Apple, bears are not proving it. and Amazon, bears are not proving it. So those three names, keep a close eye because we know the Nasdaq bears are not going very far if these names stay strong. So again, I'm sticking with NAS 100 USD futures chart here because of that upper wick on QQQ makes things a bit less clear for me. Bears are going to try and confirm a 1-minute head and shoulders into 15-minute consolidation. If they do, Meta will be consolidating from that potential megaphone setup. It's a little short-term support test. And again, it's only the most aggressive traders that care about a 1-minute chart to start the morning. And I'm not being aggressive today as daily inside bars are shaping up. So 1-minute head and shoulders confirmed. Had two little bear patterns there. We had the rising wedge and a little 1-minute head and shoulders. Now we zoom out to the 5-minute, recognizing we are still in a 5-minute uptrend. Checking our other major sectors, healthcare, still all bears. Looking for a 5-minute lower high to be the result of this bounce. Testing the low of yesterday and holding initially. XLF, 5-minute equilibrium on the morning. So again, XLF hasn't really been joining Team Bull or Team Bear. It's just been trading sideways. So we'll keep an eye on how this 5-minute tightening range breaks there. Again, just caring about those sectors for their implications on the broader market and SPY. And we'll see if that rising wedge on the Nasdaq leads to 15-minute consolidation. Checking back in on the S&P 500 futures 4-hour potential falling wedge. This would be another rejection from the downtrend resistance line if the bears were to take over from here. But we have to see the Nasdaq bears show up for that to be the case. But solid follow through on that 1-minute head and shoulders. NVDA at the low of the day. 5-minute downtrend confirmed on NVDA. Its tightening range broke bear. 401 still a bit of a ways away. Look at those crypto stocks go. So without even looking, I know that Bitcoin must be breaking out. And it is. Bitcoin hourly bull flag confirmed in a big way. So that's just me taking my eye off of it while doing the ticker request thread. That's the way it goes sometimes. Very quick turnaround for a 1-hour bull flag confirmed, and the bull's going for the daily bull flag still. So MARA significantly responding. Solid volume on MARA, and we're watching the high of yesterday, 1305 resistance. Miners are lagging behind Bitcoin a bit because QQQ is going in opposite directions. As I mentioned, the ideal scenario is when Bitcoin and QQQ are going in the same direction, and that is not the case at the moment. So NASDAQ futures 15-minute consolidation underway. And bears would love to see a new low of the day hit here. Bulls are hoping for a 15-minute higher low to form. Did we look at AVGO? No. So AVGO inside bar yesterday, inside bar today. Not exactly. Yesterday broke by less than $1, but I'm viewing it as a second daily inside bar in a row, and we're heading down towards support, 820.22. 5-minute downtrend just confirmed. So tightening range that's still favoring the bears. And now it's just a question of, do we break the low of the last 2 days? I also like the 2-day time frame in this equilibrium. High, low, lower high. We will be looking for a higher low compared to 772, but that's a whole bunch of space where that can form. We'll be looking for something like that, but no sign that that 2-day higher low is shaping up at this point. QQQ bears following through significantly from that 1-minute head and shoulders. So a new low of the day would be a great sign for the bears, but we then have to confirm the 5-minute downtrend for conviction of follow-through. Megaphone will continue to be on watch after this reaction to the new high of the day straight into a pullback. AI is still testing the low of yesterday. After giving it all back with the QQQ weakness, PLTR, very surprisingly, at the high of the day, ignoring QQQ weakness. PLTR has been showing a good amount of relative strength to AI the last couple of days, and today it's on full display with this current setup. So low of the day test for QQQ. Solid short-term win for the bears. 5-minute downtrend needs to confirm. And that low of yesterday on QQQ will be coming quickly into play at 357.59. So it is shaping up as another rejection from the S&P 500 downtrend resistance line. And so now the question will be, do we break the low of yesterday with no follow-through to keep this potential falling wedge alive? OPEN. Daily inside bar yesterday, still a daily inside bar. We double topped at the high of yesterday to the penny. Still a 5-minute uptrend. If we lose the 5-minute uptrend, it'll be a convincing rejection. But anything above the low of the day is a 5-minute higher low. Bulls really want to set a quick higher low and break that double top at 307. Nice tightening range here, not only on the inside bars, but also this tightening range. So if we do break 307, it's all about 325, because if we fail there, it'll continue to be a tightening range here. Bitcoin is pulling back notably, so Bitcoin had the bull break, but Nasdaq dumping, definitely a headwind. And crypto stocks pulling back pretty considerably in response to that. Unable to break the highs of yesterday. So the bears gaining a bit of confidence. Aggressive bears will be watching for 5-minute lower highs to be the result of next bounces. Make note of names that broke their low of the day with QQQ versus names that did not. The names that did not are obviously showing relative strength. Let's see if QQQ gets a 5-minute bounce going from here, it's going to be giving us a potential megaphone. Only if we get some bounce follow through. But again, it's just that whenever I see a break with no follow through in one direction and then a break with no follow through in the other direction, that tells me keep an eye out for a megaphone. Pretty much when action gets as choppy as possible, it's usually a megaphone. Again, no conviction here unless we get a solid bounce. And I don't like trading megaphones, so that's going to keep me patient. So significant volatility in Bitcoin. MARA clearly way stronger than Riot. XLF still tightening up on the 5-minute time frame through that volatility. XLV, we'll be watching for the 5-minute lower high to be the result of this bounce. So AI is setting up for the high of today to potentially be a new hourly lower high in its downtrend. Chinese stocks giving back a good bit of the morning move. NIO still strong, stronger, looking for a 15-minute higher low is the most likely result of this pullback. But BABA giving back most of the morning move. YINN hit a new low of the day. So the next check mark for the bears will be confirming a 5-minute downtrend on QQQ. And then the low of yesterday will be in play if the bears are able to pull that off. If not, Megaphone will be on watch. But I just know that so far on this morning, this is just a screaming day for me to not be an aggressive day trading day. Just with my styles. We got an inside bar. We got some potential megaphones. Both of those are trade less signals for me. Bitcoin's trying to set a 5-minute higher low. If it does, again, just look at the difference in these charts. MARA, 5-minute higher low at the high of the day. Riot, not close. So MARA trying to stand out as a lead bull. 1305, 1310, key resistances approaching. The bull volume is standing out. Anytime you see the highest volume candle on the morning happening with not in the first 5 minutes, that tells you it is significant. By far the most common pattern on individual names has the volume the highest at the open. So QQQ 5-minute bounce is underway. We're going to watch retracement size. And we're going to see, can the bears confirm 5-minute downtrends? Amazon continues to be weakening a good bit. Again, look at the, it's just low of the day, high of the day, low of the day, high of the day, low of the day. That's how Amazon has traded this morning. Megaphone City. So Bitcoin 5-minute higher low is set. That is now a key support level in the short term. We're going to watch to see how this tightening range breaks. If it breaks bull, MARA is favored. If it breaks bear, Riot Bears are favored. Aggressive Riot Bears are looking for a high of the day top fish. And hoping that that Bitcoin equilibrium or tightening range breaks bear. Check back in on Tesla and NVDA. Tesla bears would love to break 242.99 to confirm a 5-minute downtrend and keep the low of yesterday in play. NVDA continues to weaken since it confirmed its 5-minute downtrend. Its low of yesterday is still over 1% away. Coin is continuing to battle its resistance zone. $15-minute RSI would be at 80 if we were to get there from here. 2-minute cup and handle attempt. But it all depends on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is able to recover from that bull spike and drop, coin is likely to break that resistance. So again, checking back in on the Nasdaq, this is what the megaphone would look like if it indeed does shape up from here. PLTR is still standing out as a lead bull. So MARA and PLTR, some lead bulls. New key PLTR support is 14.19. If we lose that level, it's a more convincing rejection from the high of yesterday. But if we keep it, we're going to keep heading towards it. Tesla bulls trying to defend 5-minute support. XLF high of the day test. If it rejects, we remain in a tightening range. PLTR high of the day test. Coin did see some nice little follow through from that 2-minute cup and handle, but still just at resistance. So I have no idea which way QQQ is going to go today with all this choppy action. Potentially just a daily inside bar. If the bulls start to gain conviction, MARA, PLTR, coin, some of the lead bulls to be watching. If bears start to gain conviction, keep an eye on Tesla. But would have liked to have taken some trades for you all here on this public live stream, but this is just, I mean, thinking back to the last 2 weeks, the least ideal morning for me and my trading style. So if anything, it's a lesson on not feeling forced to trade just because. AI bears showing a little bit of exhaustion just because we broke the low of yesterday with no follow through, but we would have to confirm a 5-minute uptrend. Still clear hourly downtrend there. Still over the next couple days going to be watching for that daily bounce, especially with the PLTR relative strength. Going back to the Nasdaq futures chart to see what the size of this bounce retracement is. Again, I don't like that upper wick on QQQ. And 65% plus retracement. No 5-minute downtrend confirmed for the bears. Chop City. Again, that Amazon is something to behold. Low of the day, high of the day. Low of the day, high of the day. Low of the day. So make those bulls and bears, whatever direction, make them prove the 5-minute trends. And we'll see if daily inside bars continue to shape up. Still watching XLF to see how its tightening range breaks. If it breaks bull, that will increase probabilities that SPY is shaping up a daily inside bar. We'll see if Meta recovers. Again, still going to be watching for, if we do see full recovery, still going to be watching for bull breaks to lack follow through with the megaphone patterns. NVDA definitely a top bear watch. If the Nasdaq bears are able to take over, 5-minute bear flag on NVDA trying to confirm. Clearly showing relative weakness ever since it confirmed its 5-minute downtrend. And really the 5-minute relative weakness started when QQQ had a 5-minute higher low and higher high, where NVDA had a 5-minute higher low and lower high. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks for the likes and the shares. I'll be back in the Chart Guys chat room here in just a moment. And we will see you all real soon.